everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Sunday Sing-Alongs. I'm Dustin Owens. I'm your host. I'm also the singer, songwriter, and guitar player for Fall Down Trees. And what we do here on this series is we kind of go away from your usual learn how to play a song YouTube video where they show you exactly all the notes to play and exactly what to do with each hand and where the parts are in the song, and to make it more practical and more folksy, I guess, by showing you how to just play the song. And it might be sitting around playing the song by yourself or playing with a group of friends, but it's in sort of the folk tradition. This is how a song goes and this is how you play it, and then the rest is up to you. And today we're going to talk about the blues. And to me, the blues is the perfect representation of what it is that we or that I really would like to do with this series, right? Because blues is a genre of music that's all about the performance itself. And obviously there's songs and great lyrics and all of that in blues, just like anything else. But when it comes down to it, it's more about guts than most other genres of music, and interpretation is also hugely important. It comes from a tradition of passing songs around, like most folk music does, and a lot of times that means you're playing a slightly different version of it. You're mixing the lyrics up because you just don't remember them, and you're making stuff up on the spot. But the thing that really sets blues players apart is them. It's their unique characteristics. It's a unique voice. It's a unique approach to their instrument. And you find these things through their performances. And I think that also means that with blues, you can't be full of shit, right? Like, you can't put on airs. Like, you have to come with a certain level of sincerity and passion, or everybody's going to see through it. And that means that even though the greatest blues soars as high or higher than any other genre of music, the worst of blues can be some of the hardest stuff to listen to. If you take and you tab out a blues solo, you go through and play it exactly like somebody else, then it's boring and it's predictable. You have to do something with it. And so you don't teach somebody a blues song, you teach somebody how to play the blues. And once you know how to play the blues, then you can kind of pick up any of the tunes, but you're going to take them and you're going to interpret them and you're going to perform them, and you're the thing that's being judged, right? Like, what you're putting into it's the thing that's being judged. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. So the tune that we're going to start with here is Rolling Stone by Muddy Waters. And this is kind of Muddy's Delta period, so solo acoustic, if I remember, from the original recording. But you've heard dozens of versions of this song. It's also called Catfish Blues. Jimi Hendrix probably does the most well-known and popular version of it. If you sit Muddy's version next to Jimmy's version, they're radically different, right? Like, it's radical. It'd be hard to tell they're even the same song. And that's kind of the blues tradition, right? Like, Jimmy probably didn't sit down with Muddy's record and play it over and over to listen and learn how to play his licks. He just felt it. He knew the song. He kind of knew how the song went. He kind of knew the lyrics, and then he just played it himself and played it with his guts. And hopefully that's what I get across too. I'm admittedly not the greatest blues player out there, but once again, that's why I love the blues, because you don't have to be. And when it comes to things to do, just sitting around the house picking, it's hard to beat picking the blues. It's one of those things where it lends itself to amateurs. So, blues tradition, once again, like in juke joints in Mississippi all the way up to clubs in Chicago, those coming up sat down with those that have been around a long time. And if you were a harmonica player, you could just sit down with the band and you get a break every once in a while, and you get to stretch and you get pushed by people that were much better than you. You can sit down with just about anybody and play a song. Singer, guitar player, bass player, drummer. You've got an idea of where it's going to go, but then you have to pay attention to those people that are around you. And so that interpretation thing lends itself to improvisation as well. And blues is one of the styles that is maybe easiest is the best way to put it, or it's the most logical way of improvising with yourself. So the first thing that we need to kind of get into when we're doing this song is the rhythm of the tune. It has swing, and we can get into that a little bit more later on, but it's the difference between 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was a really bad example. Let me try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Versus. There you go. You feel how that second beat, the back beat, moves from center and it falls back just a little bit. And I love songs that swing. Most of the music that I play, and even songs that aren't supposed to swing, I end up swinging them. So blues kind of lends itself to that too, but it doesn't have to. And I'll show you a song in a little bit that doesn't swing. But this one does. So most of it is going to be, you really only need 2 chords. There are only 2 chords in the whole tune. If you know how to play an E, you got it. If you know how to play an A, you got it. But really, even if you don't, if you got a bass string, you got what you need. I'm going to finger pick this, but you can play it with a pick just as well. You can do it however you want to do it. That's kind of the point of all of it. So the song's going to kind of start out with this E chord just rumbling along. And this is when everybody joins in and plays the song and throws in a little lick to begin the tune until we all find the groove and we all find that pocket. And God, man, when we all find that pocket, it feels like $1,000,000. It feels like you can't mess up. And to me, like that's the best part of playing music with other people, is getting in that pocket, hitting that note, and feeling like you're just so locked in there's nothing that you can do that's wrong. And really and truly, there's not. As long as you end on the right note, anything you do in the middle, you can make it sound cool. So this one's going to start with that. There is a riff, right? And so riff-based music is kind of born from the blues, and this one's got a riff like anything else. Mine's different than Jimmy's, and mine's a little different than Muddy's. But the way I do it is I'm going to hit that 3rd fret on the B string, and then I'm going to hit the 2nd fret on the G string with a bend. Alright, so there's a pull off, hit, bend, pull off, and then land on my chord. Now you can throw in a little bit of that high E2 to give it a little flavor. Check it. And of course I'm talking from the perspective of the guitar, but really you can do this with any instrument. You can do it on the piano, you can do it on a mandolin. We do this song in the band sometimes with a mandolin in there. Blues mandolin sounds incredible. Violin, you can do anything. You can kind of find this. It's great with harmonica. I do a pretty wild harmonica solo. So it's really just about the feel and the groove. Alright, and so that's my riff on that E. When it goes to that first change, it's going to hit that A pretty hard. Right back into it. And then there's another riff in there. It's going to be an E with a G thrown in. That's your blue note. Blue chord, I think they call it, or yeah, blue note. That's the catfishy part. I don't know why that's catfishy, but in my head it feels catfishy. And then the last thing before we go back into the verse is going to be a little bend. I'm going to hit that 3rd fret on the B string, and I'm going to hit that 2nd fret on the G string, and I'm going to go. This kind of sounds catfishy too, and I do a little like flutter hammer on. Like that. There's tons of that in Jimmy's version. Excuse me. So anyway, that's your basic parts, that's your basic riffs. Everything else is just feeling the tune. And so we're going to get in it, we're going to feel it. Catfish Blues. Let's try it a little better to start off though. It's alright to screw up licks, but you don't want to screw up the first one. Well, I wish I was a catfish and I was swimming in, Lord, the deep blue sea. I'd have all you pretty women fishing after me, fishing after me, fishing after me. Yeah, yeah, alright. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, my mother, she told my papa on the day, Lord, that I was born. She said, there's a boy child coming. He gonna be a rolling stone. He gonna be a rolling stone. He gonna be a rolling stone. Yeah, yeah, alright. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right now. I went down to my baby's house, and I sat down, Lord, on her back step. She said, come on in, Dusty. Yeah, my husband just left. Man, he just has left. Come on in, he just left. Yeah, yeah, alright, babe. Yeah, yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, yeah, alright. Yeah, yeah. Why don't you take a break? Go for it. Yeah, play it good. Feel it, man. Keep on going. Feels good, don't it? Oh yes, I believe. Oh yes, I believe. Oh yes, I believe, Lord, my time ain't long. I'm gonna catch the first train. Down the road I'm gone. Down the road I'm gone. Down the road I'm gone. Yeah, yeah, alright now. Yeah, yeah, tell me, babe. Yeah, yeah, tell me all about it, child. Yeah, yeah. Rolling Stone, Muddy Waters. So one thing to notice, like, I'm just riding that thumb, man. Just riding it. Another thing about interpreting the blues and about playing from your gut is the changes aren't always going to hit in the same spot. Sometimes the solo is going to go longer than it does other times, just based on how you're feeling and how it's going. There may be variations not just in the lyrics, but in the phrasing and where you're singing stuff. What feels good at the time. And then when you're playing this stuff with the band, instead of y'all knowing exactly how it's going to happen, going in and exactly where those changes are, watch each other, feel each other, and then feel each other doesn't sound great, I'm sorry. We don't feel each other at band practice, I promise. But you're going to feel those changes, and even if they're different from the time before, you're going to hit it if you're all locked in, if you're all hitting that note. Once again, that's a beautiful thing. Think of a band like the Allman Brothers Band. Like, they had arrangements for their songs and then these huge spaces in the middle built for improvisation. And in those spaces, every gig was completely different. And so, to me, they're the pinnacle of rock bands. And the reason being, like, if you compare them to a band like the Grateful Dead, who had tons of improvisation, but some nights the songs are good and some nights the songs weren't great. And if you compare them to a band that's incredibly scripted, like, let's say, the Eagles, you know exactly what you're going to get going into the show, so what's the fun in it? But the Allman Brothers, they were tight, and they were great musicians, and they had these pieces in there, and you knew the pieces. You knew how to start it, you knew how to stop it, you knew where the solos were going to come. But it was the stuff in the middle where this blues improvisation comes in. When you're playing by yourself, you can improvise just as much. You can have just as much fun, maybe even more fun, because it's just the difference in time between your brain and your fingers. All right, so that's our cover song for today. But we're going to stick with the blues theme, and I'm going to play you one of mine. This one's called Canned Biscuits. And this song actually came out of an older song that was really a country tune. It was also called Canned Biscuits, and the chorus of this song came out of that song, even though I didn't think the lyrics were great or had a hard time playing it or something, and it died. I repurpose songs. If they don't work well, I at least take the best parts out of them and use them to create a new one. I think that's always a good idea as a songwriter. I don't see anything wrong with that. Sometimes I take parts out of songs that I still play and add them to new songs. And then when you put stuff like that on a record, hopefully people look at it and they're like, wow, they really planned this out. But really, it's just kind of cheating. So anyway, ain't it a shame to work so hard to have it all crumble in the pan? All the sweat and tears and love, and you wind up eating biscuits from a can. That's the part that came out of the original song. And I love this idea. This song's inspired by my grandma. She made incredible biscuits. They weren't beautiful, big, fluffy biscuits, but they were so good. They were good at sopping stuff up. I think they called them cat head biscuits. They were about the size of a child's palm, I guess, or the size of a cat's head. But they were rough around the edges, just kind of like pinched off dough. Not really just like meticulously formed or anything. But what you got, like on the inside, was delicious. And I think that's not only a really good metaphor for a song, but also for what we're talking about here, right? It's like not meticulously formed, but what you get on the inside is incredible. So that was unplanned, but it did work out. But I kind of use it, first of all, like, I love to cook, but that's something I came to later in life, and biscuits still cause me problems. This one has a biscuit recipe built into the tune, which is a biscuit recipe that you can actually use, but it still needs to be tweaked. It's not perfect. Good enough not to have to eat canned biscuits, though. And then also comparing it to a relationship, right? And like watching a relationship dissolve, and all the sweat and tears and love, and you wind up eating biscuits from a can. So me and Pork Chop wrote this one. I kind of had the bits and pieces, but we tried to rewrite it as a country song at first, and I think it just accidentally fell into sitting around just playing the blues, right? Like sitting around just playing licks on the guitar, fiddling around, improvising, and just having a good time. You know, it's probably 18 minutes of E, A, and B, and this lick kind of comes out of it, and then I start singing these lyrics or this melody to it, and I realized like it fits what we're trying to do. But it is a little different than a traditional blues song, especially in the change. So there is a change in the song that's going to go a little bit off book. So I'm playing with the capo on 3. That way I can play my E shapes. I can play the blues. You can play blues pretty easy in E and in A. But other keys, it gets a little bit more difficult. So I like to slide that capo around, and I can get just about any key in the first few frets in E and A that I want to play in. So this one's capoed on 3 to put me in the key of G. And that lick's coming out of that E shape. when we go to that change, it's going to hit a, what would that be? That'd be a B minor. It's going to hit a C sharp minor shape. Obviously, we're in the key of E, so C sharp minor shape. In reality, that's actually an E minor, but I'm going to talk in relative chords here. C sharp minor shape, and then it's going to go down to a B shape. Yeah, to a B shape, and then it's going to hit a shape. So it's going to have this little change. So it does the licks that I'm throwing in there. It's just your E scale. And once again, if you know an E blues scale, E pentatonic scale, you can sit and jam forever with just your open chord. Plucking away at that E, and then your change is to an A, which is just an open string down. Back to E. And then you can hit a B pretty easy. And if you get those top three, that sort of, it's kind of like a D7 shape, but you move it up and that makes it a B7. But you only need those three strings, and then your bottom strings are open with your pinky to play some little licks in there too. So E, A, B, and E. You can do all that, your whole bass work, just with your thumb. And then you're just playing the E pentatonic scale in there. So really what I'm doing here in that A lick is I'm going up from my 2nd fret on the D string to my 5th fret, and then I'll do the same thing on the A string. That's the 2 licks. And look, improvise it too. It just matches my vocal melody in this song. So I'm just playing a guitar lick to try to mimic my vocal melody, which is in the blues tradition as well, right? Like that's where call and response came from, field hollers. And then when solo blues players were, not really musically educated and they were just learning, same way I did, right? Just sitting around playing and learning from other people around them. A lot of what they were doing is they would sing a line, and then they would mimic that line on the lead guitar. So that's kind of where that part comes from. But I do change it up a little bit outside of traditional blues. All right, and then the lick is just, and once again, this one doesn't swing. This one, boom, 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 boom. So the lick is going to hit on that E chord, and then it's going to do an open high E. Okay, goes a little off. All right, so hits, high E, and then I do this little walk up from G, G, A, like that. I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing. You can figure it out. It doesn't even have to be exactly right, but that's essentially the main lick of the song. So here we go. This one's canned biscuits. If you want to make biscuits this afternoon, great thing to do on a Sunday afternoon. If you want to torture yourself, get a pen and a piece of paper out and write down the lyrics, because I got the recipe right in there. A spoonful of sugar, 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt, and a half tablespoon of baking powder, 2 cups of buttermilk, and a half cup of butter. Fly down the rolling pin and don't twist the cutter. Change. Ain't it a shame to work so hard to have it all crumble in the pan? All the sweat, tears, and love, and you wind up eating biscuits from a can. biscuits from a can. My grandma's hands were confident but gentle. She said the secret ingredient's love and keep it simple. A dozen homemade biscuits in a dishcloth in a basket. A big old pat of butter and some fig preserves, if you ask it. What I wouldn't give for one more taste of home. What I wouldn't give not to be here all alone. The smell of Grandma's biscuits brought the family round the table. But simple don't mean easy, and want to don't mean able. Ain't it a shame to work so hard to have it all crumble in the pan? All the sweat, tears, and love, and you wind up eating biscuits from a can. Eating biscuits from a can. Go ahead, take it. Preheat the oven at 425. Big wooden spatula, Martha White by my side. Grease down the skillet, dust the countertops with flour. Close your eyes and say a prayer, they'll be ready in an hour. Canned biscuits. And that concludes the second episode of the Sunday Sing-Alongs. I'm Dustin Owens from Fall Down Trees, and join us back next week and we'll do something else for you. Thanks for popping in.